Coming up on City Spotlight, we are in the middle of Season 8, and we are on location in Casey. We'll talk for the first time with the new mayor of Casey, Mike Nichols. We'll learn a little bit about Mike, the impact of COVID-19 on Casey, the latest economic development and public works in Casey, and Mike's thoughts on the role of the big things to Casey. We're on location and back in Casey, here on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we are on location for this episode. We are back in Casey, first time here in Season 8, and we are taping for the first time at City Hall in Casey as we tape here on the final day of January 2022. And to help us out in this episode, we welcome to the program for the first time the new mayor of Casey, Mike Nichols. Mike, pleasure to have you on.
Welcome to be here with you and hope to shed a little spotlight on Casey and what we got, what we have, and get people to enjoy our little town through your program.
Very good. Again, City Spotlight, glad to be back in Casey. It's been a couple of years, so we're glad to be here as we've kind of navigated through the pandemic, talking to our local community. So it's great to be back in Casey and talk to Mike for the first time. Mike has been mayor since last spring, so we're going to learn about Mike here off the top. So Mike, first time guest on the program. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Toledo, Illinois. Went to Cumberland High School, class of 1975. Attended Lakeland for 2 years, played baseball there. Went to Eastern on a baseball scholarship, was there for 3 years. Graduated with a degree in zoology, and then went to work in the finance business for Country Financial. Spent 30 plus years there, retired here in Casey, and lo and behold, I get to be the mayor now.
So growing up in Toledo, going through the school system, as you mentioned, K through 12, higher ed in the area. So you've been pretty much a Central Illinois person, and you've been in Casey how long? Roughly?
We moved to Casey in 1993,
right.
So we've been here a pretty good piece of time. Kids grew up here, got to know everybody, through those years, and got to learn and see what Casey had to offer, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
So you chose to run for mayor last spring. Those previous experiences, not only here in Casey, but the area, what have those previous experiences prior to you running for mayor, how have they prepared you for this new endeavor?
Well, I really didn't choose to run for mayor. I had some folks in town, business people that I greatly respect, and they knew my background in the finance industry, and they wanted me to try to help out and try to get Casey moving, keep it moving in the positive direction we were going. So after a few conversations, I agreed to do it, and that's how we got to be on board with running. I was previously a city council member for 4 years.
Right.
I was there when Mr. Ed Bolin was the mayor, and he picked me to head the finance and utility committee. So I got to work with the city finances then to get myself familiar with them, and then also work with the utilities on some negotiation with the unions. So I got my experience from that as far as working with the city.
So you've worked multiple positions, kind of learned how things work, and so that sounds like that prepared you pretty well for...
That prepared me pretty well. That and the 30 plus years with the
Right.
finance business, with Country Financial, you're working with the public, you're with the public. It's some people shy away from it.
Right.
It makes them feel uncomfortable. Others graduate toward it. I was one of those that graduated toward it, so talking with people was fairly easy for me, and listening. I'll say the one thing, talking's one thing. You learn a lot more by listening to what people have to say. And by doing that here with the folks in town, it put me in a position where I think I get the basic feeling of how they feel and what they want to try to get accomplished. And now in this position, I'm able to bring their feelings forward and and put some of their thoughts to work.
What have you, since you've taken over as mayor since, was it last May? Okay. So in that 8 months or so that you've been mayor, any new things you've learned about the community, or did it verify what you already knew?
A little bit of both. One of the things, being a small community, one of the things that's important here is our finances. Not only the city's finances, but how can we find ways to help our citizens, better use what they've got. We was able to bring forth with my committees, financial committees and the board, we was able to reduce our utility rates by about 10-15%. So that saved an average of anywhere from 75 probably to $100 a month off of folks' utility bills. Well, when you're in a small community, that don't sound like a lot, but that's groceries.
Right.
That helps. Every little bit helps. So we kind of concentrate on what can we do as the city, with the city council, myself, what can we do to make life either better or a little bit less expensive for the folks we got here in town. And that's kind of where we're headed. And that's where some of our other projects will be generated toward that objective also.
All right, we'll get into those probably here in just a bit. As we tape here with Mike, first month into 2022, what would you say the strengths of the community are?
Our strengths, well, first of all, is the people. We're a small community. We're rural in nature. We was based and formulated on those conservative rural values. The people of Casey are great. If you need anything, you can ask. You'll have volunteers everywhere you go. We've got some volunteer groups, Casey in Action, the women's groups that are. If we jump in, Casey Industries is another one I forgot.
Right.
If we jump in, they'll help us out. The new park you see across the street, the city was having trouble getting it completed. Casey Industries jumped in, took over the project. The Casey in Action, a lot of the things you see downtown with the benches and the beautification projects, they've jumped in and done. Right. So we're very fortunate to have the people that's willing to work with us as a community and go from there. So the people would be one of the strengths I would say is it. The other one, like I said, is being small. We can do some things a lot quicker than other communities that have to go through a lot of hoops to get done.
Correct.
If we want to do something, we just ask a couple of people and we can get it done. We're fortunate to have the Boland family here, correct, who is the supporters of our Big Things Small Town, that'll do anything they can to help it out. So our proximity off the interstate, our location's good for that kind of thing.
Right.
The people that have helped us put some things in town to make other people aware that we're here.
Right.
And then the willingness of the people we got to support the community and work to make it better are probably the biggest strengths we've got here in our city of Casey.
One thing I've learned about all the size of communities we have here in Central Illinois, we've been to about 20 communities over these last 7 years of City Spotlight, is hearing about the different groups in the community. They only have one goal in mind, and that's to make the community better.
Correct.
But some of their narrower focuses in specific areas of expertise want to go a certain way and help out. What is it like to have, in a community of your size, to have those groups that are in it to help the community out?
It's great. We're in a unique position. Not only do we have quite a few people willing to do it, right, with the Boland family and the creativity of some of that side of the Boland family with Ed and Jim, not only do we have the ideas, we have the means, and we have the love of the community that those folks are willing to put back into it. So when you're as small as we are, it doesn't take much to make a big impression.
Correct.
So with the small things we're doing here now is really added up, and now over the course of the last few years, between the city doing what we can to help out, right, with the other volunteer groups doing what they can, and then with what the Boland family has done to help put us on the map, we've really grown a real small community into a pretty fledgling little area that, for no bigger than we are, is pretty well known.
And I think, my first time interviewing you, and I remember going back to our first episode we ever did on Casey and asking tell us about your community. And I think for you guys, it's very, very, and we're going to talk about the big things here in a little bit. I think it's very noteworthy, the location for you guys, and, the history of communities is, the railroads paved the way back in the day. Now it's the interstate, and you guys are obviously right off the interstate. So a lot of things that you probably consider doing moving forward are because of your location.
We've got a great history. Casey was pretty well centered to start with off of railroad and oil.
Right. Kind of like
Our symbol shows there.
Right.
You know, we had the Doty Railroad that was a big influence on the town. We had oil back, and it's still a big part here. And then we've kind of graduated that now to the to Bowling Enterprises and some of the other bigger companies we have here in town. So even though we're small, we've always had something here to help us develop and stay with our, become better well known. And we're building on those now. We've got the road going up to the interstate. We've got the interstate that's not that far away. Effingham, to get on 57, it's not that far away. So we're in a nice little location, not far from the Indiana line, not far from the interstate, still got some main highway connections, and still got some connections with the oil and railroad right through town. So we're just pretty well living up to what we've done in the past and hoping to expand on those and make them better as we go forward.
Obviously, you're focused on what's in your community, but also you are able to play off of some of the strengths of being nearby other things as well.
And with the small community, you have to have that.
Right.
We're not self-supporting in every aspect, so we have to blend with our local communities and go from there. And I think we're doing that pretty well.
Okay, I'm going to break away here for a second. We're going to talk about new businesses and public works in just a second.
Okay.
But I think it's a fair question to ask you. We're taping here. Folks at home are seeing this episode for the first time, February of 2022. So basically, we're 2 years into the pandemic.
Right.
Everybody's been impacted in some way, great or small. Obviously, you've been a part of the community. You've been mayor for less than a year, but what would you say, Mike, has been the 2-year impact of the pandemic on Casey?
The impact here overall may not be as severe as it was in other places, simply because we're smaller demographically. It's cost us some good people. We've had some good people that were friends of mine that were lost, and that's never a good thing, and I hate that. But the overall impact we've had from a financial standpoint and from an operational standpoint probably isn't as great here as it would be in other communities because we're not as large. Right. We tend to be more stay-at-home bodies here. Correct. And not travel quite as much as some other places, and because of that, with limited exceptions that everybody's had to deal with, severe sickness and deaths, overall it's not been as bad here. It has been in other locations, and I think we come out of it a little bit quicker. We still have our occasional cases, and we still have an occasional bad case. Right. But overall, I think for here, that is kind of turned the corner, and hopefully we're seeing the end of it, and hopefully we can be out of it before some others that are of larger populations. Like I've said in recent episodes with other communities and also first-time mayors, hopefully the next time that I talk with you, Mike, it's all along behind us. I hope so too. I hope so too. Thank you for that comment. Very parallel comment there with a lot of other communities that I've talked to. So very good. Thank you. All right, it's been a little over 2 years since I last taped with Casey, so I apologize for having that long gap, but we're glad to be back. Get us caught up on what maybe some of your newer businesses, update on economic development. Sure. No, we talked about when I first came in, we talked about rolling back the utility rates to try to help out. We did that for two reasons. One, try to give back to the people here in the community that have supported us for so many years, and we used some reserves we had in our utility department to make that happen. Right. We also wanted to do that to try to get some new businesses in town. And since we've done that, we've got a new Mexican restaurant across the street that is doing great guns. Good place to have lunch for anybody out there who wants to stop by. I'll put them a plug in. And we are soon to have a new butcher shop down the street at the old City Hall. Oh, wow. It'll be coming. Hopefully the gentleman can get it done, and I think he's wanting to shoot for March if he can pull it off. If I could just interrupt you for a second, that location right there is smack dab downtown. I'm going to use a fancy word. It's primo. You're right there around the big things. It's right downtown, smack dab. You can't see a big thing without walking by it. Right. So I think that'll be of a benefit. We've been working with my economic director, Bailey Maulding, to try to get a few businesses on the north end of town. Right. We've been in contact with some folks to try to get a motel to come into town. Okay. We're looking at a couple other restaurants to try to fill the bill up toward the interstate. Right. We've put some letters out and talked about applying for some grants for some senior housing and some other such things here. A lot of those are in the very preliminary stages. Yeah. But if you don't have a preliminary stage, you don't have a final stage. Ideas. So that's where we're at there. And I'm pretty open to anybody's suggestions. If somebody has an idea that they want to share with me that say, hey, this could help our little town, I'm willing to listen. So
I'm going to ask you about the big things here in just a bit, but I feel obligated to ask you this question about, you're talking about the interstate and maybe adding things up to the north, because obviously the interstate would be like the most northern point of Casey, correct? How much interest does Casey, and this is just a very candid question, how much interest does the community get because of the big things?
Oh, a lot. The big things in a small town theme that Mr. Boland come up with has kind of been taken to heart by the whole town. Mm-hmm. The city itself doesn't have a whole lot to do with it other than some promotion. Right. The Boland family pretty much has done that on their own. But any given day in the summer,
right,
I can go out the door and walk down the street, and we'll have hundreds, if not thousands, of people off the street down here walking through town and telling us how much they love our little city simply because of the warmth and what we've done. And that makes anybody in town, and me as mayor especially, feel kind of warm and fuzzy, because that's the image we want.
Right.
So it's done a lot. It's also the reason that the restaurant come to town. It's the reason that the meat market's looking to come to town. Without that big thing, small town giving us that exposure, we wouldn't be able to do some of the things we're doing now. We wouldn't be able to have any of our growth potential. So it's been the world to us.
Got a great comment from you there. I'm still going to ask you about it here in just a minute or two, but I want to ask you now about Public Works, because it's almost impossible to come on a program like this, talk with a community leader and or a mayor like such as yourself. Public Works involve water, roads.
Right.
So what's something recently or that you're working on for the future involving Public Works?
Well, we talked about developing up toward the interstate.
Right.
The finance committee is viewed and we've looked at ways, hopefully in the 22-23 budget, we'll be able to get the finances we need to move our utilities north and get that area developed. We'd like to develop the area that's north of the car wash on the west side of the road.
Right.
That's an area that we'd like to put our motel we're talking about. We'd like to run our utilities up through there because our area for expansion is north of 40, between Old 40 and the interstate. Well, if we can run our utilities up there now and get it ready, that'll eliminate some of the handicaps we got of trying to get.
So you have a very specific area that probably, and I'm not going to ask you about all the open areas that you have for expansion, but you've obviously identified
that's our target. That's our target. If we can get that done with most people that's going to come here are going to come two ways. They're either going to come off of Route 40 or they're going to come off the interstate. Well, if I can target that specific area, it'll be easier to be seen and easier to be gotten to, and then the downtown traffic will just have someplace else to go also.
Sounds like something we can follow up on the next time we talk with you very soon. Okay. We already got a nice answer from the big thing. So for our audience at home, the last time I was here was the fall of 2019, and that was around the time of the Teeter Totter, Giant Key, Barber Pole, and if I'm missing one, we had video of all of them that day, and it was a beautiful day. And update our audience again. What is the rough number of big things?
We got 12 world records now, and we've got numerous other big things that aren't quite there but are cool things to look at.
Like the pencil, that's my personal favorite.
The pencil is a nice one. We've really, the Boland family really hasn't added to the list. Of course, with the pandemic, things got slowed down.
It's kind of hard.
Slowed down for a bit. I know Jimmy, and I know Jimmy's people. Their minds go a mile a minute all the time. They've got ideas. I may not know them yet, but I can guarantee you, because of the success we've had with them in the past, we're going to have some new ones coming up here in the not too distant future. So,
and if you've seen an episode on another Clark County community marshal, you've obviously probably seen a few shots that I've gotten of the gavel. So the big things are not just in Casey.
Correct.
So you've shared the big things to another community. You've already given me some great comments about how you step outside and you see people enjoying the big things. They're out and about. They're snapping the photos and those things. But Mike, what are your thoughts on the role of the big things to Casey? Because I think I think it's fair to say that when you say Casey, Illinois, maybe the first thing they think of right now is the big things. So what would you say the role of the big things are to the community right now?
I think its main role is an attractor. You have to have something to get somebody's attention. Once they've got their attention focused on that and then get a chance to see some of those things, once they get here, then they can see some of the little businesses that we've got. Since you've been here the last time, we've added a few businesses. We've added the Terra Cottage, the Model T's T-shirt shop, the Casey Coffee Company, the T-shirt Connection. I already told you about our Mexican restaurant, Cilantro's.
Right.
There's been the Vintage Thistle, Trendy Trunk, and where you need to go for lunch today is Pretzel Time, which is right across the street. And those weren't here.
And that wasn't here. Although the day those big things were being unveiled, that fall of 2019, that had been mentioned. But
It was
good,
coming,
It's
yeah.
good to see with the finished product.
Yeah. So those little businesses weren't here in 19. They're all mom and pop type businesses.
Right.
They're all doing well because of those big things in a small town being the attractor to get folks in town, and then they see these businesses and what we have to offer, and that makes them want to come back.
Just got a couple minutes left with you, Mike. Appreciate your time here on City Spotlight. One more comment, a question about the big things. What has been the general overall comments? And we have Bailey here behind us, and we've had Bailey on the program before. But what are some of the general comments that people that come through the community, they stop to see the big things? What are the comments that they're saying to you about the big things and/or Casey?
You know, probably the first thing that people look at and say, how does a community you're small come up with an idea for big things in a small town? And I said, well, the community didn't. Jim Boland was the one that probably come up with the idea. It's pretty much his dream because he loved our little town and wants to make it better. But that's the primary one. And then they walk down the street and say, you know, I can see one end of town to the other, and you've got 12 different objects here that are world records. You know, that's amazing to me. And
Especially if you climb up to the top of that
the mailbox.
You see the whole community.
Yeah. But that's been it. And then they start walking around and seeing what's here. And I've had more than one person that I meet when I walk on the street saying, you know, if it comes time to retire, this don't look like a bad place to come. And I said, that's the image we're wanting to portray. That's our goal.
That's about as good a compliment.
That's as good a compliment as I can get. And I hope those folks, I hope they follow through because I'd love to have them as a neighbor.
Probably my last or next to last question for you, Mike. Outside of the big things, if folks are traveling through the community and or it's someone like myself, average Central Illinoisan resident, what's something outside of the big things that you want people to know, or maybe they don't know about Casey?
I guess the main thing I'd like to tell them is, you know, not only do we have the big things, but we got an excellent park that's down there on the southeast part of town.
It's big.
And we have some really good activities, festivals. We have our Popcorn Festival that's over Labor Day that is a phenomenal festival.
We did a feature on that, had a wonderful time with that.
And the first Saturday in December, this has grown immensely, and a lot of it due to the big things in a small town, is our Candy Canes on Main Festival.
Right.
We had over 20,000 people in this little town that first weekend in December for the parade and whatnot. And if I could, I would invite you now to get your come back for that Candy Canes on Main and to see what that's like.
I can't get to everything every year and every event, but it is on the list.
I'll give you far enough warning now. We might be able to make it. What do you think?
You put me on the clock to come back to Casey at that time of year. Very good. We appreciate all your comments, Mike, and your first time here on City Spotlight. I give you the floor. Anything else you'd like to add here as we are still very early in the new year?
Well, the only thing I'd like to add is I want to invite everybody that listens and can see the show to come down and experience for themselves our big things in a small town. Come down and experience the people here in Casey. You know, we're very humble in our what we do here. We want everybody to enjoy it. You know, my goal as mayor is to make everybody stay, citizens, whatnot, that come to visit, as enjoyable as possible and make Casey all we can make it. You know, I don't do it alone. I've got my city council, I've got my staff here at City Hall, and I got the people of Casey that are wanting that to be, you know, come true for everybody also. So simply in leaving, I invite you all to come, visit, see what we have to offer, and don't make it a one-time trip. Come back often and often and often.
That's a great way to end it, and it's like to mention that the last time I was here, this facility that we're taping in now is the new City Hall, and it was being renovated at the time. So, what a wonderful facility for you guys to conduct your business.
We got plenty of room now, so and we got the room, we got able to expand, we got thoughts going forward, and projects to be developed and whatnot. So, with that. Don't make this your last trip. Come down and see us again.
Absolutely. We look forward to follow-up interviews. We've talked about a lot, so a lot to follow up on the next time we talk. Pleasure to have first time on the program here on City Spotlight, the new mayor of Casey, Mike Nichols. Mike, Appreciate your time and look forward to many more times.
Thank you, sir. So do I.
Appreciate it. And that'll do it for this latest City Spotlight episode here on KZ. Before we leave this episode, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in KZ. Thank you for tuning in to City Spotlight. You can check out past episodes, including the one you're watching right now, on YouTube. To check out recent episodes of Central and Southeastern Illinois towns featured on City Spotlight, search on YouTube, City Spotlight, with the show number and the name of the town. Listed on your screen are the last 5 episodes of City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.